A peaceful morning at Heartland Ranch. The sun rises over the rolling hills. Birds chirp, and everything seems calm. But deep within, there's an unspoken sadness, a lingering wound that has never fully healed. For years, Amy has carried the burden of loss, raising Lindy on her own, trying to move forward yet always haunted by one missing piece, the one person she thought she'd never see again, Ty Borden. Then, out of the blue, the impossible happens. Ty is back, but the joy of reunion is tempered by anger, disbelief, and unhealed scars. How will the family react to the man who disappeared and left them all behind? The storm that's about to hit Heartland will shake the very core of everything they thought they knew. Get ready for the most heart-wrenching return in Heartland history. The morning feels different today. The air is crisp. The sun casts a soft glow across the Heartland fields, and for a moment, everything seems still, almost too still. Amy's routine with the horses feels normal, but there's a heaviness in the air, a sense that something is about to shift. As she brushes Spartan's mane, her mind drifts to memories of Ty, the love they shared, the life they built, and the unbearable pain of his loss. She's learned to live without him, raising their daughter, Lindy, with all the strength she can muster. But Ty's absence still lingers, a wound that time has not healed. She sighs deeply, unaware that her world is about to be turned upside down. From the porch, Jack watches Amy, his eyes thoughtful. The old rancher sips his coffee, enjoying the calm, yet his intuition tells him that today isn't like any other. Then, a truck pulls up near the entrance of Heartland. It's a sound he's heard many times before, but this time it's different. His heart skips a beat, his grip tightens around the mug, as he senses something he cannot quite explain. Amy continues her work, oblivious to the growing tension. But Jack's face pales, his body stiffens, his breath catches. The truck door creaks open, and standing in the doorway is the man Jack never thought he'd see again, Ty Borden. Ty looks different. His face is weathered, his hair longer, but his eyes, they hold the same deep, unmistakable love that has been absent for so long. Jack freezes, his expression unreadable, his emotions warring within him. Ty? Here? Alive? He can hardly believe his own eyes. Amy, still focused on the horse, doesn't notice at first. Then Jack's breath catches. Slowly, Amy turns. Her heart skips a beat as her gaze lands on the man standing just beyond the fence. Her mind can't process what she's seeing. Could it really be him? Is this a dream? But when their eyes meet, there's no mistaking it. Ty, the man she loved, the man she mourned, the man she thought she'd never see again. Her hands tremble, and she whispers his name, Ty. She can't believe it. Lindy, full of energy, runs up beside Amy, her bright face lighting up as she sees the figure standing before them. But when she sees him, her steps falter. There's something familiar about him, a sense of safety she doesn't quite understand. "Mommy, who is that?" she asks, her voice full of innocent curiosity. Amy, fighting to hold back tears, bends down to her daughter. Her voice is shaky, barely above a whisper. "That's your father." The words feel unreal, almost impossible. Amy looks back at Ty, trying to make sense of the moment. And for the first time in years, there's a flicker of hope of something that feels like maybe, just maybe, their family isn't broken after all. But as Lindy stares up at Ty, something clicks. She's heard stories about him, seen old photos, but now he's here, the man she never truly knew. The man her mother always spoke of with love and pain. He's standing right in front of her. And in that moment, the fractured pieces of their family, once thought lost forever, begin to come together. However, Ty's return is not as simple as a reunion. It's a catalyst for years of unresolved pain, anger, and betrayal. The family is shaken to its core. Jack, the stoic, strong patriarch of Heartland, is the first to react. His emotions are a tangled mess of shock, disbelief, and years of grief. Jack doesn't rush to embrace Ty. Instead, he stares, his heart a mixture of relief and deep, painful questions. "Where the hell have you been?" Jack's voice is low and rough, filled with something far deeper than anger. It's a question, yes, but more than that, it's an accusation. For years, Jack has mourned the loss of Ty, stepping in as a father figure to Amy and Lindy, holding the family together when everything seemed to fall apart. And now Ty stands before him, looking as if no time has passed. Jack can hardly accept it. Ty swallows hard, his own guilt written across his face. "I never wanted to leave," he says quietly. "I fought every day to come back." But Jack isn't ready to accept that explanation. His fists tighten at his sides, his heart pounds in his chest. Ty nods, his eyes filled with regret. "I know," he whispers. "I'll never forgive myself for it." The silence between them is suffocating. Jack's anger simmers, but beneath it, there's a trace of something else, a reluctant relief, even if he can't yet fully embrace it. After a long pause, Jack gives a single stiff nod. It's not forgiveness. It's not acceptance. But it's a start. Ty has returned, and though the wounds are still fresh, Jack knows the journey of healing is about to begin. But for Jack and the rest of the family, that journey will be anything but easy. The air around Heartland Ranch is heavy with unspoken words and raw emotions. Ty's return stirs something deep within the family, especially for Lou. For years, Lo has been the rock, the one who tried to hold everything together when Amy fell apart. She has seen her sister's pain from the very beginning, the late-night tears, the struggle to raise Lindy without the man who was supposed to be there beside her. Lo had to step up to fill a role she wasn't prepared for, and while she has done it with all her heart, part of her has always carried anger for what Ty had done to Amy, to the family. As Ty stands in front of her now, the emotions are overwhelming. Her heart races, her body tenses, unsure whether to run into his arms or scream at him. She can see the guilt in his eyes, the regret, but it's not enough. It's never going to be enough to undo the years that have passed, the pain that has never fully healed. For Lou, the man who was once her brother-in-law is now a stranger, and her heart is torn between the love for the man she once knew and the anger at the man who abandoned her sister. Lo finally speaks, her voice shaky but determined. "Ty, is it really you?" Her voice cracks as a flood of memories rushes back. She remembers the times they all spent together, the moments of happiness they shared. But those memories are eclipsed by the devastation of what came after the sleepless nights she spent comforting Amy when the grief became too much to bear. The days when Lou had to pretend everything was fine for Lindy, who never really understood why her father was gone. And all the while, Ty was missing. As Lou's words hang in the air, a moment of silence stretches. Then, the anger breaks free. "You were dead. You let Amy believe that. And now you're here like nothing happened." Her voice trembles, the hurt clear in every word. "Amy suffered the most. She always loved you, Ty. And now you're back like you didn't destroy her life." Ty stands there, unable to say anything that could erase the years of grief. He's not looking for forgiveness, not yet, at least, but he wants to make it right. He wants to show Lo that he never stopped loving Amy, that he fought every single day to return to the family he left behind. But the weight of his actions is too much, and he knows that all he can offer is his quiet admission. "I never wanted to hurt her. I wanted to come back every day." Lo wipes away the tears threatening to spill, shaking her head in disbelief. She doesn't know what to feel. The family has moved on, rebuilt itself without Ty, and now he's here, standing before them, asking for everything to return to how it was. But how can it? How can she just forgive him? Her heart still aches for Amy, still furious at the pain Ty caused her sister. She presses her lips together and takes a step back. "I don't know how to feel about this," she admits softly. "All I know is that Amy deserves better than this." With that, Lo walks away, leaving Ty standing in the wake of her words, his heart heavy with regret. Georgie, watching the scene from the porch, feels like a child again. Ty had been more than just a family member to her. He had been a big brother, a mentor, someone she looked up to. When he disappeared, it felt like she lost that anchor, that sense of safety he provided. She had tried to move on, tried to accept that he was gone. But deep down she had never stopped hoping, praying that one day he would return. Now, standing there in front of her, Ty is real. She can hardly believe it. Her heart races as she watches him interact with the family. Each moment a mixture of disbelief and hope. Ty's return isn't just a surprise, it's a shock to Georgie's entire world. She wants to feel angry, to demand answers, but the emotions are so complicated, so tangled. The little girl who once looked to Ty for guidance is now an adult, struggling to navigate the confusion of what to feel. Georgie's legs feel weak as she steps forward, her voice barely above a whisper. Ty. The word barely escapes her lips, and for a moment she wonders if she's dreaming. But when he looks at her, his face full of emotion, she knows this is real. A sob catches in her throat as she runs into his arms, needing to feel the warmth and safety she thought she had lost forever. Ty wraps his arms around her tightly, pulling her close, his own voice thick with emotion, as he whispers, "I missed you, Georgie. I thought we lost you forever," she whispers into his shoulder, unable to stop the tears from falling. She had spent so long telling herself to accept that he was gone, but now, in his arms, she allows herself to believe that this isn't just some dream. Ty is back. The brother she thought she lost is standing before her, alive and real. Tim, however, is not so quick to embrace the miracle in front of him. He has never been one for emotions. He's tough, stubborn, and hides his pain behind harsh words and actions. But when Ty walks back into their lives, it's not relief that floods Tim's heart, it's anger, fury. Years of pain and regret burst to the surface as he storms toward Ty, his eyes blazing with emotion. "What the hell is this? Some kind of joke?" Tim's voice is sharp, filled with years of frustration and confusion. "Do you have any idea what you did to my daughter? To Amy? She fought so hard to move on. Do you know how much she's been hurting?" Ty stands firm, his expression full of remorse. "I know," he says quietly. "I never wanted to hurt her." But Tim can't let go of the years of pain, the missed moments, the hurt that still lingers. His hands shake at his sides, clenched into fists, as he struggles to control the flood of emotions rising within him. "If you're back, you better prove to me that you're not going to break her heart all over again," Tim says, his voice thick with emotion. He turns and walks away, leaving Ty standing alone, a man who has returned to a family torn apart by his absence, unsure if he can ever put the pieces back together. The emotional weight of the moment is palpable. Ty's return is not just a reunion, it's a reckoning. And for the Heartland family, everything they thought they knew about love, loss, and forgiveness is about to be tested. They are being tested in ways they never expected. The healing process will be long, the wounds deep, and the journey ahead uncertain. But one thing is clear, Ty's return will change everything. The tension hanging in the air is thick, a mixture of disbelief, anger, confusion, and somewhere deep beneath it all, a flicker of hope. Amy stands motionless, her eyes fixed on Ty, the man she once loved with all her heart, the man she thought she had lost forever. Her pulse races, her hands trembling at her sides. In front of her, Ty stands with his head hung low, the weight of everything he's done written on his face. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The world seems to freeze around them, the only sound the wind rustling through the trees and the distant neighing of horses in the barn. Amy's heart is in turmoil. She spent years trying to rebuild a life without him, raising their daughter, Lindy, alone. She learned how to cope, to survive in the absence. Amy thought he was her forever, but now, in the blink of an eye, he's standing there as real as the earth beneath her feet. Her mind screams for her to run, to retreat into the safety of the life she's carved out for herself. But her body betrays her, and she stays rooted to the spot. Ty isn't just a ghost of the past anymore. He's here, in front of her, and every part of her wants to believe this is real. Her breath catches in her throat as she finally speaks, her voice shaky, barely above a whisper. Ty. The single word seems to carry 1,000 unspoken feelings: confusion, hope, anger, and the deep, unbearable ache of loss. Ty raises his eyes to meet hers, the raw pain in his gaze unmistakable. He opens his mouth to speak, but his words falter, as if they're too heavy to carry. Finally, he finds his voice. Amy, I never wanted to leave. I never wanted you to believe I was dead. His voice breaks with the weight of regret, his eyes swimming with unshed tears. Amy's heart pounds harder in her chest as his words hit her like a punch. She's heard these words before, when she begged for him to come back, when she'd prayed that somehow, some way, he would walk through that door. But the years of grief, the endless nights of loneliness, the heartbreak of having to explain to Lindy that her father wasn't coming back those years, can't just disappear with a few words. The pain doesn't just go away because Ty is standing here now. I fought every single day to come back to you, to Lindy, Ty says, taking a hesitant step toward her. His voice is full of desperation, and Amy can see how much he's been through. She can feel the deep regret radiating from him, but it's not enough. She's not ready to forgive him, not yet. Amy shakes her head, her chest tightening with the weight of the years that have passed without him. You don't get to come back after all this time and act like nothing happened, she says, her voice trembling with anger and pain. You don't get to pretend that the years I spent without you didn't matter, that the heartbreak I lived with every single day didn't mean anything. Her words are sharp, each one a wound that cuts deep into both of them. Ty, I waited for you. I held on to the hope that you would come back, that maybe somehow you'd walk through that door. But you didn't. You weren't there, and I had to learn how to live without you. I had to raise our daughter without you. Ty's face crumbles under the weight of her words. Every sentence she speaks feels like a knife to his heart, and he knows she's right. He was the one who left. He was the one who allowed her to believe he was gone forever. And he's the one who has to live with the consequences. But he can't take back what's already been done. All he can do now is try to make it right. I know, Ty says, his voice low and filled with sorrow. I know. I'm the one who hurt you, who hurt Lindy. And I can't take back the years I missed. But Amy, believe me when I say that I never stopped loving you. I never stopped thinking about you. Amy's eyes narrow, and she steps back slightly, her body instinctively pulling away from him. The emotions are too overwhelming, too raw. She wants to scream at him, to tell him everything she's felt over the past years, the pain, the anger, the confusion. But even more than that, she wants to feel the comfort of his arms around her, the safety of the man she once knew. You weren't there for me, Ty. You weren't there when I needed you most, Amy says through gritted teeth. And now you think you can just walk back into our lives and pretend everything's fine? You don't get to do that. You don't get to just show up and think we can pick up where we left off. You don't get to undo the hurt you caused. Ty winces at the truth of her words, the bitter sting of her anger washing over him. But he can't fight back the desperate need to make things right. He reaches out his hand, shaking as he tries to bridge the gap between them. Amy, I know I can't erase the past, he says, his voice breaking. But I can try. I'll spend the rest of my life making it right. Please, just give me a chance to prove that I'm not going to leave again, that I'm here. I'm here for you, for Lindy. Amy looks at him, her heart torn between the love she still feels for him and the years of pain she's buried deep inside. The anger, the betrayal, they're all still there, simmering just beneath the surface. But in that moment, as Ty stands before her, as vulnerable and broken as she's ever seen him, something shifts. Maybe it's the years of longing she's carried, the hope she never fully let go of. Maybe it's the way his eyes still look at her, with that familiar depth of love, the way his hand trembles as he reaches out to her. But whatever it is, Amy knows this is not a simple choice. There is no easy answer. She can't just forgive him, not yet. But she also can't turn her back on him completely. The story of their love was never simple. And now, with Ty back, the complicated mess of emotions between them is more evident than ever. "Ty," Amy says softly, her voice full of uncertainty and pain. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let you back in. I don't know if I can forgive you." Ty's expression is full of sorrow, but his voice is steady when he replies, "I don't expect you to forgive me, Amy. I don't expect you to forget. But I'm here, and I'm not leaving." As the weight of those words hangs in the air between them, Amy realizes this is just the beginning of a new chapter 1 that will be filled with difficult decisions, healing, and above all, the hope that maybe, just maybe, they can rebuild what was once broken. As Amy and Ty stand locked in their silent battle, the rest of the Heartland family watches from a distance, their own emotions swirling in a storm of disbelief, confusion, and, in some cases, anger. The return of Ty Borden is not just a shock to Amy and her daughter Lindy. It's a seismic event for the entire Heartland family. Each person must confront their own unique relationship with Ty, and the reactions that follow are as varied as the family members themselves. Jack's reaction is one of the hardest to read. For years, he's been the steady presence that holds the family together. He's seen it all: heartbreak, loss, and triumph, but nothing could have prepared him for the moment when Ty appears, standing in the background. Jack's weathered face is unreadable, his usual calm demeanor completely absent. He watches with a tight grip on his coffee cup, his knuckles white, his jaw clenched. His eyes, though filled with shock, betray a deeper, more complex feeling: pain. Jack isn't just seeing a man who disappeared without a word. He's seeing the son he never had, the man who became part of his family, and the man who left without warning, breaking his granddaughter's heart. The years of grief, the nights spent comforting Amy when she cried herself to sleep, the long days trying to fill the hole Ty left behind. It's all coming back,